Okay, so before we get started with our today's webinar, first of all, I would request all the participants to turn on their cameras. It will really help us to make this session more interactive. Okay. And before we get started, let me give you a brief introduction of our today's speaker. So today we have with us Bhawana Gunwani ma'am. She is a founder and CEO at Coding Bims, and also has a and she is also a technical consultant and corporate trainer with over 15 years of experience. She has worked closely with developers and teams, helping them improve their coding practices and stay updated with modern technologies. And in today's session, we'll cover how Java has evolved from Java 8 to Java 21 and how we can write code more simpler and more in a more efficient way, and simple ways to use modern Java features in your daily projects, and how the latest updates in Java make handling multiple tasks more faster and more easier. So today's session is very practical and focus on things you can actually use in your day-to-day life and your day-to-day work. Once again, requesting all participants to turn on their camera. And if you have any question, chat box is open. You can anytime put your question in the chat box. And after the webinar, we have a 15-minute time window where you can ask question directly to Bhavna ma'am.
Very good morning, everyone.
Good morning, ma'am.
I request everyone to please come up and make the session interactive. I welcome you all to the session. I would rather say it is not a session, it is a technical discussion because you can't grasp the entire concept in just 2 hours. It's just an overview of how the modern techs, how the modern versions are taking up the enhancements and upgradations to the previous old version of the code that we used to write since ages, since decades, I would say. So that's what we are here. So I will request everyone, as Dipali said, that this is just for you. Out of our very busy schedule, we took out some time and interacted with you this way. So please, if you have any technical or non-technical discussions that you want to do with me, or you want to take any guidance in the coding strategies, if you are a developer, architect, tester, QA testing and all, you can just come up and ask me whatever doubts comes up, whatever thought process works behind the scene, because when we code we actually think and then we code, so our thinking strategy should be very strong. So I will request everyone to please make the session interactive, and there is a chat window. Anytime you can write over the chat window if you have any questions, any doubts, or whenever I ask something, if you would like to answer, please use that chat window. And I request that you will make the session interactive. And first of all, as discussed, we will be understanding the concepts. Then we will have a Q&A where I will be taking up your questions, your doubts, your discussions with me. And then we will be good to close after that. Okay? So are we good to start? I'm waiting over the chat window. Yes, Hima. When I am taking sessions, theory and hands-on will go hand in hand. Whether I will take 2 hour session, whether I will conduct the training program of 40 hours, 120 hours, or 300, hands-on has to be there. Obviously, I cannot create an entire case study with you because time is very short, but I will try to summarize the things which I really wanted to discuss, and I would like to encourage you guys to use the modern concepts. Okay. Good to see your efforts, good to see your rewards, and I request everyone to go the same way. Please do let me know if you can see my screen. Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Okay. So let's get started. First of all, I would like to tell you why we are coming up to learn from Java 8. Why we are saying Java 8? Because it was the most stable version being a developer. I think if you are a Java developer and working since at least 5 to 6 years or 10 years, Java 8 has to be there, and everyone has learned that. And it was the most stable version. People are still using it in their maintenance project. So, hey everyone, welcome to today's session on modern Java deep dive, which is from Java 8 to Java 21 plus. Why I'm saying 21 plus? Because we do have a Java 23 and 25 is in still progress, but in beta version, but 21 is the stable. Last most stable version is 21. So before we begin, I need to quick check how many of you are currently using Java in your projects, and how many of you are still mostly using loops, pojos, and traditional threads? I'm waiting for the response. So if you are working with a Java project, then it is a good to discuss this point here only, because we are just talking about the enhancements. I'm not talking about how to write a Java program. So if you have worked with Java projects, that's okay. Android, Spring Boot, Core Java, JSP servlets, any concept. So might you have thought about using the conditions, loops, pojos, and traditional threads, right? So that's exactly why this session matters, right? So here I want to give you a clarity that most developers think they know Java. If they know conditions, if they know loops, if they know how to write a plain object class or pojo, or if they know how to use the object oriented concepts, they think they know Java. But industry is using a completely different Java today. Let me tell you why. Because in modern Java, we are using streams, we are using functional programming, we are using records, and we are using virtual threads also. So when you are using these concepts, you are writing legacy Java in modern projects. But if you are instantiating in a traditional approach, you are not using the design patterns, you are not using the solid principles, you are not using the functional programming. Unnecessarily you are creating variables and keeping the result of one calculation, comparison, or computation into one variable, then using that variable in the another conditions or something. It is actually not knowing Java, just trying to overview of that. So, if you really want to work with the modern strategies, if you really want to save your time, energy, and you want to keep the code intact, why we use the solid principles and design patterns? Because when tomorrow new developers comes in and joins your team, if any project scenario has to be changed, or if any updates are needed, so if you know that, for example, if you know I'm using a repository design pattern, so if the pattern is same, whether you use for the first time or the 10th time, so pattern remains same, then there should be a data access object, there should be the interface, there should be the service. So if you know that pattern, it is very important to go to that particular place where the change is needed. So it really helps you to keep your code intact. And as I said, today we are not just writing the code, We are writing the legacy Java using these modern Java deep dives concepts, which I am going to discuss with you. So, after this session, I hope that you will write cleaner, shorter, powerful Java code. You will understand why modern Java is a game changer and you build a real world projects using the modern Java concepts. Obviously, you need to explore after that. And most importantly, you will think differently as a Java developer. So, I wouldn't tell you much of the theory. I will go with a simple strategy. So, as I rightly said, that most developers think they know Java, but they don't because they don't know the concepts which I really wanted to discuss today. And most important concepts which I really wanted to discuss today is, as I discussed, streams, functional programming, records, and the virtual threads. So, problem statement is there where I really wanted to tell you in the old version of the Java, we used to uh, consume a lot of memory where we used to do some calculations, comparisons, and we store the result into the variables, and that variable we use it for the further implementations, as you can see here. But in the modern Java, things works in a different way, impacted in a different way when we talk about the streams API, where we use to chain the methods, and methods just works like a framework, works like a built-in structure. So why you must upgrade your Java skills, as I have told you, after this you will write less code, you will do more, and the better performance and the scalability towards your more modern enterprise applications that you are developing. Hardly matters you are developing the mobile applications or the web applications. It gives you a high demand enterprise project because when you know these concepts, the confidence that you gain to develop the legacy Java projects, that is completely different. So let's talk about it. I will start from the streams. I will not take much of your time. Okay. And I will save my time. Obviously, when you will see my code, if you don't know the concepts which I am using, you might will ask that Bhavna, how you are writing the code so fastly. So I am using one of the tool called GitHub Copilot, which really helps me to do the code completions, and that saves a lot of my time because I don't have much time to write everything in a very scratched way because I really wanted to discuss a lot more concepts. So I'll be using the Copilot. If you have any questions related to that also, you can ask me later. I think the session is recorded. How you will get the session recordings, that Dipali will tell you at the end. Okay. So, by the way, when you are working with Java, which IDE you guys are using? IntelliJ or Eclipse? That's okay if I use IntelliJ. Oh, VS Code also. Sorry, that's okay if I use Eclipse. The way you write the code remains same, and I think you can manage if you're using any of the IDE. So I will quickly go and create my core Java project. First of all, I will create a base, what I really wanted to discuss. So I will be trying to create a project where I will do a order managements, where I will tell you how to filter the orders, calculate the totals, handle nullables, represent the data cleanly, and processing the orders concurrently. Okay. So I just go and create my very first class, and this class will keep me halted onto the order details. So here I'm creating a order class separately in the package demo. Okay. So basically, what I'm trying to keep the things here, I'm trying to create a class, Pojo class, which will be common for all. That will help me to get and set the private properties because I really want to restrict the properties later. So here I'm going to create a private integer ID. I want to take the customer name. Okay, so I just write here the customer rather than name. I want to take the amount and I also want to take the status. So I want to take four properties right there. As you all know, when I will be trying to create a list, the in-memory list to store the order details, because I'm not storing the details in the database, what I need to do here is I'm going to create the constructor that will help me to initialize the things. And I'm not going to use a setters because I don't want to set the values at this moment. So I can just go and generate the getters of all the properties. So there is a concept of generating getters and setters. I just want to select the getters of all the properties. You can see that only the getters I'm getting here, and I just want to generate four properties I have and the four methods I have. By the way, do you know why do we use toString method? In case I want to use the object and I want to assign the object, I want to pass the object as a parameter, or if I want to print the entire details of an order, I really want a toString method rather than customizing it. So here I'm also going to write that or generate that. Choice is yours. So here I'm purposely writing by myself, or if you don't want to write, there is also the way to generate the toString method in the source. This will print or return the entire details. I want to keep it short. I just want to display the customer amount, name, and status. Okay, so let's talk about the streams. Okay, first of all. So, along with that, I'm also going to create the class. Okay, so when we talk about Streams API help you to write the uh, concepts. For example, I just if I am talking about the orders management, I have a list of orders. I want to create a high value orders. Okay, and I want to say that the orders whatever number of orders I have, I really wanted to get them out and say that whatever orders have a high value, first of all I want to take them out, then I want to sort them, or I want to filter the values from them, right? So in that case, if you will use an old traditional approach, you will be writing 2 to 3 loops. First of all, you will loop to get the order details, then you will be comparing the order with the highest value, and then you are going to filter them as per the requirement, whatever order details you have to show it up. But if you are using the Streams API, you can use the chain methods like map for the iteration, filter, reduce, and advanced collectors to collect the summarized result sets and dedicatedly assigning to the list or the var type, which can hold any type of value. Just give me a minute, guys. Okay. So let's say if I am inside the main class, what I really wanted to create, I want to create here a list of orders. You can see that my list of orders are generated. As I said, I'm using Copilot. And once this list is ready, I really wanted to create here a list of order. I am going to create this as a filtered list. Okay. Now, what really I wanted to do after that, also going to create this as an array list. Okay. Now, first of all, I will try to filter it and I will tell you how we can convert it to the Streams API. So I'm going to use for loop. For each loop, I want to get the amount or status. For example, here I'm going to compare with the amount. And I say that order dot get amount. If the amount is greater than 150 or whatever the prices are generated here. Okay. I think get amount has to be there. So you can see that I have executed a loop and I have filtered the condition in the if. Now, whatever filtered data I have, I wanted to print that. Let's say I wanted to do some more filtration onto that, whatever the other things you wanted to do with. But I really wanted to print the filtered if. So first of all, I want to filter the data and I want to store it into the list. And this list can be used for the further iteration, but as of now, I'm just printing it. So I would love to say here that this is the old approach. So you are going to iterate the orders, and after that you want to filter and then you want to convert them into the list, right? So first of all, you have created a list, then you have iterated, and then you have filtered. And it took at least 5 to 6 lines of code and 2 3 blocks integrating it. But if I write this in a modern approach using streams, at the time of creating a list, let's say I wanted to create a filtered stream. It's not important to write a stream word. I'm just writing it purposely because the filtered list is already created. Stream is a method in the Streams API which will iterate whatever orders we have that we have created in this list or we have stored it. There are the chaining methods that I really wanted to discuss, and one of the important method over there is the filter. And I'm not sure, I think you all will know this already. This is the lambda expression which I'm writing, the inline code which I'm writing to iterate the orders, get the amount of each order, compare it. If it is validating this condition, then storing it to the filtered stream, whatever result I wanted to store it to the filtered stream, converting back it to the list so it behaves like a list. And again, the second approach which I wanted to use with the modern Java is, if I really wanted to, if I have any collections, like we have map, we have list, we have set, and I want to iterate it, I really don't need to write down that typical for each loop, for loop, or while loop. There is a for each enhanced loop attached with the streams where I say whatever list is ready, just attach a for each, use a system.out, whatever objects we have stored into the stream, that will be iterated. So if you were using the old approach, you were writing the manual iterations like this, or you were writing more code. It could be the error prone, so you could use a try catch block also, or any exception handling mechanism that you wanted to discuss. But here, when I'm using the modern approach, I'm using automatic pipeline, less code, and the cleaner approach. So streams reduces the code boilerplate and improves the readability. Can I get the quick confirmation if the concept is clear? Yeah, you can call it lambda expression, or you can call it the uh, inline method, or you can write it as in functional programming. Later, I will talk about. It is very important when you are writing anonymous code. Okay, so you can also write along with this, you can write the along with filter, you can write more chain methods like sorting and all. So it really gives the sorting in ascending order and descending orders. So it really helps you to implement the maps, it will help you to implement the distinct for the unique objects. And if I'm saying that over there I'm using advanced collector in terms of right now I'm converting it to the list, you can converting it to the collectors also, the other collectors that you really wanted to discuss. So just telling you one quick in a quick shot, and then I will change the topic because time will run fast otherwise. uh, Another example, let's say if I'm writing here a list of string, and here I want to store list of strings. Uh, why I'm saying that, because I just want to take out the names. Okay, so I say whatever orders I have, I wanted to do the streaming to that part. Okay, so first of all, if I want to filter the high value order, so what I need to do is I will filter the order with the order dot get amount, and I wanted to get a specific high value orders. After that, if you want to filter only new orders, then you can attach the other things. What it is saying. Hmm. So I really wanted to get the new order. So you know that we have the new and processing or completed three status. So you can see that you can attach more filtration at a one go, because I told you na it is the chaining of the methods. Then we have the order as an object. I want to use a map and reduce here. So I really don't want to store the entire object list to this particular stream. I just want to store the names. So what I need to do here is I need to use map, converting the order. It is already written. Converting the order, just want to get the order name. In case you want to convert them into the uppercase, lowercase, we do have those methods, right? In case you want to remove the duplicacy, so what you can do is you can use a distinct, you know that in database we use to remove the duplicate records. If in case you want to make them sorted and then you want to convert them into the list, and in short, if you would like to store or print the result, you can see that impact is completely different. So this really helps me to reduce the code boilerplate. Just look at this. I think I'm printing it with the result that I have created. Is this clear to all of you? Clear now? How it works inside, and it takes less time, if then how it improves the performance. So for when we talk about reducing the implementing these concepts that improves the performance of the code, It is something when you really want to look up for the properties. For example, you have created one implementation and you have stored the result in one list, and your list will take a memory somewhere in the heap, right? And then you will look up for the same array to do more filtration, will go to the memory and will look up. So multiple lookups. So whenever we implement either any of the request that is being approached to the memory, there are the three-step process. Once the request is being received, first of all the request will be parsed. Parsed means syntactical and implementational things has to be changed checked. Then there is a parsing tree that has to be created, and then it got compiled, and then it got executed. So when you are writing multiple requests, the three-step process will keep on repeating: request, parsing, compiling, and then execution. Parsing and compilation comes in a one step process. If you are a engineering student, definitely you have gone through with the compiler's concept. So over the parse tree has to be created. So when you are writing multiple request, multiple list, multiple parse tree of that particular list has to be created. So when we are writing it at one go, only one request is being received, one parsing tree has to be created, and the compiler will check the implementation syntax and everything, and the execution will take a halt. So in memory there is an execution plan that gets created. So this is how internally it works. So map is basically the thing which I really wanted to discuss here, Anand. When I am saying I am converting the list of orders to the streams, I am actually storing in the orders list the object which has three to four properties: ID, name, amount, and status. But the moment I want to store it to the filtered result, I don't want to store the list of objects. I want to just get the name. So it is reducing the entire object into one variable that I really wanted to get the customer. So map and reduce is a concept that it will extract the part of the string, part of the property from the entire object. Okay. Are we good to continue towards the next concept? I just told you, Shivraj. Now, I really wanted to discuss the next concept with you. There is a null. I purposely asked my team to create this presentation for you guys, but I think that concept is being missed. Null, null. I really wanted to discuss that with you. Okay, so just keeping this into the notepad, and I will be sharing this notepad or this project with all of you. I keep my session notes very injected. If I'm saying this, please mean this. And I trust myself that whatever notes I'm giving to you, if you use it wisely, you will never pitfall behind. Okay. I really wanted to discuss the concept that is null. So null is dangerous because it fails at runtime. So whenever we use any real-time scenario, there are the chances we get the null values. Null is not a value actually. Null says as of now the value is not available. I really wanted to discuss two things very personally. People get confused that what is undefined and what is null. Okay, let me ask you a question. For example, I have a add method that takes two parameters, a number one and number two. If I am calling that method, okay, and I'm not passing the values, let's keep the values optional, okay? So if I'm not passing the values, what will be the default value assigned to the variables, undefined or null? undefined. That is not null. Null we assign purposely that as of now we don't know the value, and whenever we will get the value we will assign it. That is right, but I think you are connecting it with database, Shivraj. So that's fine, that's okay. When we know multiple things, we just do this thing. And I do personally have faced this many times when I'm teaching multiple programming languages. Sometimes I jump to the JavaScript from Java and vice versa. That's completely fine, because this concept also is not available in Java, undefined and null. It is a JavaScript concept, but we can discuss it. I really wanted to tell you what is null. Null means we are not assigning the value. As of now we don't know the value, but whenever I will get the value I will update it. And undefined means purposely we are not assigning anything, so it will be undefined. And both sets to the false condition. If you are writing if condition for a variable which is even holding undefined or null, it will be considered as a false. So null is dangerous because it fails at runtime, and optional is the concept optional in Java that forces you to think about the absence of the value, that avoids the null pointer exception and makes the code intentionally clear. For example, if I'm writing here an order and I purposely assign null in the place of name, string can holds the null value. Taking a variable, creating a condition if order not equals to null, and you want to get the name and that is also not null, then get the customer name and assign it to the variable that I have declared at line number 10. Otherwise I want to assign guest, and I really wanted to print this. So this is the old approach. We are typically writing a condition that checks for the null value. But if I write it with the modern approach, we use a concept called optional. What we do here is we say string customer. At the time of declaring the variable only, I'm trying to use the optional. Using the optional is actually in the java dot util, I think, of nullable, checking the nullability in the entire object of the order. If anything comes, optional, we just wanted to get the name. If it is optional, then assign the guest to it and then just printing it out. Now let's understand. We have a order, we have a optional, we have a map, and then we have if null, then assign guest. That's how the modern approach works. We already have an order, and we use the optional there, wrap the object to the optional, we get the customer name, check it. If it is null, then assign guest. If you use this way, I'm not saying that this is wrong, but I'm saying if you use this way, no explicit null checks. If you use this, it makes the code safer. And if you use this concept in the modern approaches or the enterprise application, then it will also will not throw the exception called null pointer exception. Okay. So null pointer exception is quite very important when optional is not just a wrapper, it's a design tool, if I'm saying. So it forces us to think, what if the value is missing? What if it replaces unsafe null checks with the explicit handling later on, let's say string to the any other type? So in that point of time, it really makes sense to use this optional. So in this case, if the order is null, it will skip the map and return the result. If the customer is null, if the customer is null, it still returns the guest. So it really help in the realistic use cases. Just wanted to tell you, for example, if we have this optional null and I want to get the order and I want to make the clean transformation of the value there. For example, if I'm saying map and convert this into the uppercase. And after that, I want to make a filter. And what filter I want to assign here is, for example, uh, so I want to assign the filter here to get the invalid names. For example, here I'm not just assigning the invalid names. I said just say that name dot length is if greater than 3 or greater than 2. And also I wanted to assign here the default values. So what will happen here? The optional of dot of nullable, it will wrap the value safely, handles the null without exceptions, as I have told you. Then the map that I have used to twice to extract the value of the customer name, and if it nulls then it skips everything and assign the null else. So it really helps in the performance. And if it is not null, then it will transform the value, it will filter the value, and then it will just smoothly will get out of this fallback. So important method is or else get. We use these two methods always that evaluates the value. I really wanted to tell you, if you use here or else get, I think that method is also there. If you use this method right there, it will execute only if needed. So it is better for the performance. In case the value is not null, it will not be anyhow compiled itself, this statement. So generally we use or else because that has to be used wisely. We do have one more method. So guys, things are never ending. I can't tell you everything in just a small span of time. Else throw. So in case you want to throw the exception here, for example, you want to say if the name is not there, I don't want to gracefully close this up. I really wanted to throw the exception, whatever, runtime exception or illegal exception. So we have or else through, we have if present. All these methods really help you to write a modern code. In short, if it reduces the nested if, it reduces the harder to read code and error prones. But if you use the optional, it is a flat pipeline that I have just told you, self-explanatory and the non-safe. Common mistakes people generally do that they create the field optional. For example, what they do is they actually write the string name and they want to keep it optional. And what they do here is they wrap it with optional. I have seen these kind of errors in my sessions. So this is a common mistake. People generally do this. It may crash your application. Sometimes people use get method blindly. That can also can crash your application. Always use the else part in the pipeline, and that will make your code more intact. So optional is not about avoiding nulls. It is about making the null visible and controlled. Having the null value is not at all bad. Please keep me posted if this concept is clear or if you have any concept, any questions. First of all, Anushka, it checks do we have any null value in the order, and purposely I'm checking the get customer, that is the name property, not the other one. Okay. Anything else that you want to ask? Before proceeding it forward, I just wanted to quickly check. Are you guys enjoying the session? How's the session going on? Just wanted to quickly check. I really don't wanted to only listen very good. If you really want to give your quick feedback, please come back and write back. So, guys, this is my general habit to keep interacting because when it is virtual, interaction is really important. Otherwise, you guys will also get bored, and me too. Okay. Without investing much of the time right now, let's first discuss the concepts and we'll do chit chat later on. Okay. Next, let's talk about the concept of records that are the data classes. Let me check if we, okay, optional was also there. Okay. So, generally, people could see the records earlier in Python or any programming, other programming languages, or in the database if you are from the Oracle. Uh, Java had too much boilerplate for simple data objects. In short, for the older approach, I really wanted to tell you. But if I use the records, it removes the code boilerplate. It makes the objects immutable. When you are creating records, it becomes immutable data carriers, which would not be modifiable. And whenever we write the Pojo classes, we write the Pojo classes. I have written one in my code this way. So to complete the Pojo class, if you have any private property and I want to get the property, set the property, we actually write it with getters and getters, setters, or constructors. So when we are using records, these are the data classes that removes the code boilerplate, no getters, no constructors needed. And it also maintained the sealed classes that control the inheritance. As we know, we cannot inherit the sealed classes. And pattern matching for the conditional logic. Once you will understand the base structure, you will better understand why and how the things has to be used that way. So if you if I'm saying I'm not touching this order class, just telling you with any other class required here. For example, here only I'm writing. For example, if you write the class customer, okay. If you write it like a normal class, how do you write it? Let's say I write private and I also want to make it fine. And here I want to create the constructor. And here I want to write the getter of the name and the getter of the age. Just a basic. But in a modern Java, if you are creating any Pojo class, you actually don't write it. How do you write it? You write a record inside the class only where it has to be used. Record, customer, whatever properties you needed there, just write that. No getters, no setters, and no constructors. How could you use that? Let's say I just write here customer detail. Okay. I coming to the main method. If you want to create the instance, it has to be used the same way. You can see that. This is the class. Can you see that? It was prompting. Before Java 16, we used to create a class like this using a regular class. But Java 16 or later, we use a record. Why we use record? It is also going to prompt you because record automatically generates the constructors, accessors, toString, equal, getters, and setters for all of you. So this is how it has to be used. And record automatically gives the constructor, getters, and hash code and the strings also. And it really helps you to keep your code intact and readable when writing the complex piece of code. One more thing I wanted to tell you, people generally ask that, Bhavna, how do we write the conditions there? So we also write the conditions there, but for that we need to use the blocks. That is another concept that comes up in when we are using the records. So what happened under the hood when we are writing this particular statement? Java automatically generate this property. I'm telling you how this code has to be generated. So when you are writing the customer detail, mark my words if I'm saying this, it will create two properties, name and age, and the both properties will be automatically private and final internally. And when I'm saying that the private properties has to be created, a canonical constructor has to be created with the two properties the same way I have shown you here. And again, if I'm saying this, please mark my words. It will do as it is, which I'm saying to you. And then it will create accessors methods, not getters. We call them as an accessor methods. So why I'm saying this? For example, can you see this? When I am going to create a getters and setters, I have a names called get name and set. Get name, set name, get age, set age. But when I am creating record, it will be creating the methods with the name of the properties, and we call it as an accessors, not getters and setters. Is this clear to all of you, the difference? So you need to understand it because you have to use it the same way. So it only creates it will create a canonical constructor. Dear, canonical constructor means the parameter constructor with whatever fields you have mentioned in the record, the same number of fields will be there in the constructor. So what will happen in tomorrow if you will write the sys out and you are going to print the object of the record type, it will internally using a toString method, and this toString method is going to print the object details. Let me show you. Just look at this. Okay. One thing I wanted to make the things clear, you can only assign it with the help of the canonical constructor. When you are trying to write down, let's say customer detail dot name, and you wanted to assign anything here, let's say Bhavna. So this will give the compilation error because I am telling you it is immutable by design. So all fields are final. You cannot assign the values later. You can only initialize with the help of the constructor. Some pros and cons are there with any concept. And we really wanted to use the same way, that I don't want to assign any private property outside the class directly this way. So really records are useful. Perfect for DDOs, perfect for API responses later on when you can learn Spring Boot and everything, and perfect for data carriers also. And if I talk about the value based equality, and it will be using the same way. For example, if I am writing here the customer detail, when I am starting it up, then I am starting it up. So one topic I can stretch up to hours. So let's say I'm going to, what's happening? Customer detail C2. So when I am having two objects and I want to check the equality, it will return true. So the same value based equality has to be there and it has to be generated the same way. You can also customize the records. This is really wanted. I really wanted to tell you that that is the basic record. If you want to add the conditions, you can add it here. Public customer detail. Let's say you want to say if age is less than 0, then just say age cannot be negative karke. You can write a illegal argument exception. This is called compact constructor. Please mind my words. When I am saying the constructor is created, canonical constructor is automatically generated. But when you are writing the constructor by your own and you are writing the conditions, this is called compact constructor. Is this clear to all of you guys? If in case you wanted to add a method also, you can add that. You can write public boolean, let's say is adult. If age is greater than or equals to 18, then it will return true and you can manage it accordingly. You can also add static methods there, static and string, not sure. You can write the category and it might return like I am a regular customer. I'm not writing much of the things there. So real world use cases are there. If you're using order processing system, you can use it. It will be helpful for the Spring Boot, REST API, microservices, and the data pipeline. When not to use constructor is also important to know. Avoid records when you need mutable state. It means the code keeps changing frequently. You have complex business logic or you require inheritance because records are final, will not be inherited further. Please keep me posted if this concept is clear and we are good to move forward. Yes, yes. Canonical constructor will remain as it is. Compact constructor will be added further. Okay, I'm sorry. You asked the question normal constructor while also executing. Okay, what I have kept it there. Let's say if I am keeping the customer detail, just writing minus 25. So what will happen when you do not your when you are assigning the values and your construct and your values are not validated and any of the constructor is violating, then automatically the compact constructor will be called up. You do not need to call explicitly. Is this clear? You can see that I have kept this as minus 25. So it is going to throw illegal argument exception. Age cannot be negative. Erlon, clear? Let's move forward with the sealed classes and pattern matching. Again, saving this entire code for you. If in case you need it, you can just get this after the session. When I'm using sealed classes plus pattern matching, sometimes we want we want to implement the inheritance, or we want to reuse the code, reuse the classes, and over there inheritance concept comes in. And when we use the classes seed, we restrict the subclasses to inherit. And pattern matching, we use it for the cleaner type checks or cleaner conditional logic. Let's take an example and try to understand, because that will give you more intellectual concept to understand here. Generally, if you want to create any, let's say, any application, so what do, you actually create the contract either in the form of abstract classes or interfaces, right? I'm not writing any method purposely there because I don't want to invest my time writing and implementing the methods. Just telling you how the structure goes on. Credit card payment and the UPI payment. Okay. So, am I use the same way, right? Are you guys using the code the same way? You contract, you then. So, credit card and UPI ends the abstract class. Just give me a. So, this is the concept that we generally use to create any of the application. We write a contract and we follow that contract. And if I talk about in main method, if I'm going to instantiate the abstract class, we cannot create an object of the abstract class or the interface. And we only create the instance of the concrete classes, right? So the same way I'm using, I have instantiated the concrete class called the credit card, and checking that payment is the instance of credit card or the UPI, or it is an unknown payment type. This is the older approach. Okay. How do you write it in a better way and why? Let me tell you. Rather than writing this intellectual piece of code, or the whenever we are using the design pattern, also the things are getting changed now. That's what the training sessions are getting conducted on design pattern most of the times this way, because it has been upgraded. So now what we do is, it is not mandatory to create a contract. We create a final class, let's say credit card payment. I think this remains as it is. Going to keep the class final here. Okay. Now, what I really wanted to do here is, rather than checking whether this reference variable is the instance of credit card or something else, what I need to do here is, I will be first of all creating the credit card payment instance, getting the result. Please use this statement. There is a new block being introduced called switch. In this switch, we assign the object or the reference variable. If the case matches with the credit card payment, then it will be implementing the piece of code the same way. And if it matches with the UPI payment, implemented the same way. There is a default case for the unknown payment type. And later you can just print the result. Now let's understand what is happening here. So basically, when we write this piece of code, compiler ensures no unexpected subclasses would be there. No unexpected subclasses means if a reference variable hold the memory from the inhanded, where the abstract class or interface has to be there, then it has to be implemented with the same classes. From Java 17 onwards, what's happening? We when we use the sealed classes or the pattern matching, we use a switch, and that is type safe also, because it reduces the code boilerplate. For example, if we are creating the payment abstract class, what say, and if we are keeping this class sealed, Okay. So when we are writing the sealed class, and when we are not, you know that when the class is being sealed, and whenever we will be running this application will give me the error because the sealed class cannot be inherited. But one thing I wanted to tell you, from Java 17 onwards, it is a controlled inheritance. How do we call it as controlled inheritance? For example, there are 2 to 3 classes which are going to extend the payment purposely. So what I really need to do here is uh, writing the sealed class payment, and I just want to permit to the credit card payment. So can you see this? When I am saying that this payment abstract class or sealed class has to be permit to only credit card payment as a sealed, as in concrete class, the UPI payment will not be able to extend it. So that is called a controlled inheritance. So a sealed class restricts which classes can extend it. So only the classes which are allowed you have to write down after the permits. No other classes can do. Why this matters, guys? Because you get full control over hierarchy. Compilers knows all possible subclasses of already, and it enables the exclusive checks, which is very important for the switch. So when I am saying that we are using the switch knows I need to check for the credit card. Whatever number of cases you write, it has to be ignored. So that's how the things work. Why we keep the classes final in this case? Let's try to understand that. Final means no further inheritance. The hierarchy is closed and predictable. Do you know this concept? When we keep the class final, it cannot be further inherited, and the hierarchy is closed here. So that will help you to again understand the controlled inheritance, till what level the inheritance has to be implemented. Now let's talk about the pattern matching in switch. Actually, pattern matching is not a big deal. Pattern matching is something we are writing here. If you know, earlier when we used to write down the conditions or switch cases, don't understand the switch as a new block here. Understand that whatever you know, that is switch case in writing the conditions. So when we are writing the switch cases, we were writing the equals operators or something. So here we use the arrow operator, and this is where the modern Java shines. So what's happening here? Instead of writing this typical check of whether this payment is an instance of card payment, you directly match here that whatever reference variable you have created for the credit card payment, that going to check three things. It is going to check, guys, internally: type check, typecast, and the variable binding, all in one line. So you don't have to worry about the other aspects also. So that's all. When you are writing the switch case already, then I think you should not write down the default, but I have told you that the syntax is there because compiler guarantee the safety. So you don't have to worry about the defaults here. You can write the default if in case you want to throw the exception. Keep me posted, guys, if it is clear to all of you. Anything that you would like to ask, please let me know. Do you have any idea about threads? This prompt is coming again and again. Dipali, one prompt is coming in between just to pop up the volume or something. I'm not sure why.
Which
Anshul, this is
prompt?
not the right, once again. Anshul, this is not a right statement that you are saying. When we are writing the payment one here in my screen, which I'm showing it to, it is not the object. Okay, one thing I want to tell you very clearly. Guys, this is why the session is important. How many of you call it as a class is a collection of objects? How many of you know this as a definition? Let's not talk about the threads for 2 minutes, Amrita. What is the class? How do you define a class? Is it a collection of objects? I don't remember. There was a book when I was in my college, very famous book. I think if someone will take the names, I will quickly recall it. There was clearly mentioned in that book a class is a collection of objects. Guys, this definition is completely wrong. Class is not a collection of objects. Class is a blueprint of creating the object, I can say, or a class is a collection of data members and member functions that belongs to an entity. A class is an collection of attributes and the behaviors of an entity. Object is just the part of the class which helps us to access the attributes and the behaviors of the class. Okay. Yes, absolutely right. So I am happy to see that your mindset is very clear, that your fundamental has to be very strong. Why I have started this discussion, because I think who was writing that, uh, to whom I pointed out, Anshul was saying CCP and UP are just variables of object type. These are not object type, these are the reference variables. Okay. Generally people think this is the statement is completely known as an object creation. Let me tell you very clearly. This is not object creation. It is divided into two parts. This is creating a reference variable of the payment type. Payment one is the reference variable, just like when you are going to declare a variable, integer num or integer number or integer age. Age is a variable, int is a data type. Similarly, payment one is a variable or a reference variable, and payment is a type. What properties this payment one can assign, or what properties it can access. The object creation comes up here. So when this new, if you're not writing this new and the class name and you're just writing the left part, nothing happens. Because when we are writing this new credit card payment, whatever attributes are there in the credit card, they will hold the memory. And whatever constructors purposely you are going to call it from here, the default or parameterized has to be called up. Or the compact constructor in the case of records. So this is very clear, guys. This is not object creation. This is divided into two parts. Completely call it as an object, but object creation is just a right hand part. Shivraj, I was saying that type safety is the important factor that compilers checks up. So you may skip the default statement in the switch blocks now, because it does not uses the break statement forward. But I just wanted to tell you, if in case the mindset is just as old as we were writing the typical code, the statement is there to use with. Okay, I was talking about threads. How do you define a particular concept if I'm saying thread? Or if I ask a very basic question out of this context, uh, when I'm saying threads, then how would you explain if I'm saying there is a process or there is a thread? So, what is the difference between process and thread? Let's start from this discussion. Anyone would like to explain? Anyone else? Okay. Anyone else? Please participate. Thank you, Priyanshi. Let me explain you. It is very important to understand thread before proceeding it up with the virtual threads in the modern Java. Think of like there is a restaurant system. A process is the restaurant, and thread is a worker inside the restaurant. For example, a restaurant has a kitchen, a staff, or tables or resources. All works independently, self contained. But a thread is a worker inside the. So someone said rightly, process is a group of threads. Thread is a smaller sub-program or smaller execution. Please don't copy the statements from somewhere. At least for 2 hours, just leave everything, the AIs and everything. A thread is like a chef or a waiter inside the same restaurant because multiple threads share the same kitchen, same resources, and that makes the application lightweight and cooperative. So, in short, process may have multiple threads inside this. A thread is a smaller unit of execution where the process is the independent program. Every process will have a separate memory, but the threads have a shared memory depending upon which technology you are using. If you are using Node.js, then there is an event loop that will use the same memory. And if you are using the Java or something, there is a concept of multi-threading. Intentionally, processes are heavy because it consists more threads inside that. So that's what it is heavy. Threads are lightweight as compared to the process. So process means, let's say, running a Java program, and thread means running one specific task inside that. How does that work, guys? Each thread is mapped to an operating system thread managed by the OS scheduler. There is a scheduling algorithm might you have gone through with, and problems are there with the traditional threads that we are using as of now. That is expensive to create, limited in number, whatever, few thousands maximum. Context switching is very high. Cost of the context switching is high. So for example, in real words, if I talk about and if I'm using a traditional multi-threading concept, one waiter equals to one customer. If waiter waits for the food, he is blocked. That is also known as synchronous programming. So need more many waiters, and it will be high on cost and the poor scalability will be there. But Java 21 in Java 21, there is a concept of virtual threads. Virtual threads are lightweighted threads managed by the JVM, not the operating system. Please mind my words. The traditional threads were managed by the OS scheduler. Thousands to million possible because of the concurrency. For example, if we are creating a waiter system in the restaurant, few real waiters are there, that is OS threads, and few virtual waiters are there, which are the task. So when waiting task is paused, real waiter serves the someone else, while the virtual waiter keeps on tracking where the order is ready or not. Nowadays, whatever outlets you see KFC, you see Starbucks, you see MACD, all are working with both the waiters, the real waiters and the virtual waiters. Real waiters serves you, virtual waiters keep tracking the order when the order is ready. They will pop up the order number over the screen, it will be flashed it out, and you will get a call. You might get a call back, either the data or the error. For example, I ordered for something and that cheese is not available or that base is not available for the pizza. They will call you back with the error that sorry, this thing is not available. So maybe some person, your order is getting ready. Meanwhile, someone came and say, I need a water bottle. Obviously, water bottle not need to be prepared, so they will immediately get served. So that will be depending upon the availability of the responses which are getting ready. So the key idea of using the virtual threads are don't block the thread, suspend the task if taking the long time, or just evaluating with the right condition. So that's how the things works. Let's try to understand with the help of the code. Okay, I have a order class already, creating a list of order. I want to iterate the order. Okay. What I really wanted to do here is, in the case of old approach or traditional threads, I want to create here executor service. Okay. While iterating this loop, I just want to call a submit. It's too much. And after that, I want to make my executor shut down. Okay. While processing the order also, I'm not writing too much code here. Okay. Now let's understand this. If I'm writing this piece of code where I'm going to write this old approach, this process, this iteration says that I'm going to create a list of orders, and this list of orders are getting ready. And whenever I want to assign it to the threads, or I could say that the traditional threads, this is a very traditional thread process which I'm going to create here. So when I'm writing the executor service here, it means you are creating a pool with two threads only. So there are two real OS threads. So maximum it can hold two tasks run in parallel and remaining tasks go into the queue. That's how the pool works. And imagine, for example, there are two delivery boys and 10 orders. So only two orders processing at a time, others wait in a line. I think everyone has faced this iteration in the real life scenarios. For example, I ordered the medicines. I generally, whenever I order manually, if I'm not going to order through the app, they tell me that delivery partner is busy and they will quickly deliver the things to you. It means the pool is less and the requests are high, demand is high. So when I am saying that I have a list of orders, just the sample data that I'm having, each order considering the one task here. Okay. So when I'm saying that executor dot submit and process the order, the submit method here wrap the task into the runnable interface. I'm not going forward and telling you how to create the thread and what is runnable. Send it to the thread pool queue assigned to a available thread. So if in case the request has been submit for the order 1, order 2, only two requests can be processed at a time. Order 3, order 4 and order 5 has to wait. I'm not saying that in a sequence it has to be followed. The sequence may change. So what will happen? Task 1, thread 1, task 2, thread 2, task 3, task 4 and task 5 waiting. So that's how the processing works. So executes by the worker thread. This is how the submit method will assign the process order to a particular OS thread. So in real calls, in real applications, when you use a DB calls, API calls, or file IO, uh, this really pitfalls behind, and the executor dot shutdown will stop accepting the new task and complete already submitted task. So there are the limitations with this piece of code. As I have said to you, you created only two threads, two pools. So if 1000 orders are there, there is a bottleneck. So if the process data or if the process order blocking a particular request, let's say for a particular sleep, I'm keeping here. For example, if I really don't want to write this very simple and I want to make my code sleep also, I can put on the thread sleep and all. So this is simulating the time taken to process. I need to wrap it inside the try catch. That is completely fine. So if your particular thread is taking time, the thread is completely blocked. So this is again the blocking cost is high in this piece of code. And each thread uses the memory, let's say 1 MB stack or something. So OS scheduling is again overloaded or overhead, cannot scale to the millions. So visual execution is very clear that I have 5 orders, but I am creating 2. So 3, 4, and 5 has to be in the order. So how does differ from the virtual thread? How the virtual thread keeping the things iterated? Let me explain you right there. So what you need to do here is, first of all, let's convert this to the virtual thread and try to understand how does it work. Just keeping the code right there to implement the virtual threads. So whatever executor service you are creating, you are writing new virtual thread per task executor. The list will remain as it is, the order loop will remain as it is, the shutdown will remain as it is, and the process order will remain as it is. So you can now create a thousands and millions of threads only. Let me explain you why. So virtual threads are lightweight threads managed by the JVM, not by the OS. So traditional threads are heavy because they are the OS managed threads. Virtual threads are lightweighted because they are the JVM managed threads. You can create thousands or even million of virtual threads at a given point of time. So when I am writing this line, that new virtual thread per task executor, it means it creates an executor where each task run on a new virtual thread. No thread pool size limit like traditional executors. So what happened when you even write the list and you are going to iterate this? This not has to be written here. Okay. This not has to be written here. This was to be writing here. I'm not sure why I have written here. So when you are iterating the loop here, each order is processed concurrently. Now, each task get its own virtual thread, and when you are going to shut down, it stops accepting the new task and lets the submit task complete. So what's the execution flow? The list is ready. The virtual thread executor is ready to get the threads. When you are going to submit the task, virtual thread number 1 equals to processing the first order, virtual thread number 2 is equals to processing the order 2, virtual 3, virtual 4, virtual 4, 5 threads equals to individually processing the order. So massive concurrency is there, minimal overhead is there. And why virtual thread pool is game changing? Because in a traditional thread pool we limit the threads like a thread pool, but there is no limit in the virtual thread. Create one thread per task, and it is cheap to create because it is being managed by the JVM and idle for IO heavy applications. So that's what you need to upgrade your implementations. For example, you are processing the order and your order is taking time, it will not need to hold it back. So all orders run in parallel. Even with 1000 plus orders, it will have a still efficient impact to the code. So that's how the clean modern approach works. We have so many things to be discussed. We can go with the try with resources option is there, that will automatically shuts down the executor. You do not even need to call the shutdown, but again things needs to be used wisely. And just one advice for this: avoid blocking the calls. And blocking is cheap and safe in the virtual thread, so you can go and manage that way and use the modern approach. Can I get a quick confirmation if this concept is clear to all of you? So I have made the things really very easy what I could think it up for you. I really wanted to summarize it in a span of time, so it was very difficult for me to tell you all the concepts which I really planned in this session, to just keeping in the mindset that how you can think the modern Java is important. Not only these concepts, not only these concepts, we have so many other concepts that we can integrate. And when we work with the training system, when over there we actually start with the capstone project, we first of all discuss some of the concepts, we start the project, and till the end we complete the end to end implementation and the training. Generally participants to practice along with me, so they also get more intellect with this concept. They can imagine the case studies by their own and they create the case studies also. Sure, Shivraj, you can keep you can stay connected with Dipali's reference what she is saying, the channel. I think channel you said. Guys, I'm really not into these channels also because I hardly get time. But I keep sharing the resources with Dipali, and Dipali takes care of all the things which help you to and utilize. by you guys and stay connected and interacted, because our purpose, our motto is to uh, spread the knowledge that we have, spread the resources that we have, because you guys are definitely the future if you are the new beginner. But if you are already working, actually, one thing I wanted to tell you, I'll just take 2 minutes. Dipali said at initial stage that I am a corporate instructor educator. So the purpose of having this title with me, the corporate instructor, is you all know what is Java, you know what is .NET, how to write if conditions, whatever definitions nowadays, everything is there. But how to intellectually using them into the project, and whatever new versions comes into the market, I need to keep you guys up to dated with that. Because if you have created a project today with Java 21, you know that in few months the beta version comes in, and after that the stable version gets releases. I just curious to tell you here, if you are the Angular user developer, you know that in every 3 months the beta version comes in, and in 6 months it gets released. I faced a lot while I was at the initial stage of teaching the Angular. Sessions keep on conducting every 6 months to upgrade the versions. So you guys need to up to date it with the enhancements and improvements comes up with the version. But this is a huge change from Java 8 to 21, because these are the most stable releases. After Java 8, I would say that Java 21 is the most stable release. And there are a lot of improvements happen in between in Java 11, Java 17, and then Java 16, and then Java 21. In between, multiple versions were there. So it's really important to groom yourself and stay connected. So that's all from my side. So we have discussed streams for the clean data processing, optional for the safe null handling, records for the no code boilerplate, sealed classes for controlled design, and the virtual threads for the high scalability. And this is a quick summary of the modern Java, not the complete modern Java. And Java didn't become outdated. One thing I wanted to clear. So don't think that today, if you're learning Java, tomorrow you have to upgrade to anything else. Java will always be there. Whatever things, keep on adding with it. For example, new frameworks comes in, other things comes in, but Java programming language will not go anywhere. So developers who didn't upgrade their Java, it's a right time. Okay. So I hope the session was useful for all of you. Before leaving my hands, just say quick interaction over the chat window. How was the session? You all got the insights? Interactive? Sure? Okay, good. Thank you so much. Dipali, over to you. I'm sharing this code snippets with you. You can share with them by whatever mean of communication you have. Thank you
Sure.
so much. Hope to see you guys soon. Have a good day. Thank you.
2 minutes, ma'am. Yeah. Thank you so much, ma'am, for such an insightful and engaging session. The way you walk through each Java concepts with live coding made even the very complex topics easy to understand and apply in the real world environment. Your expertise in modern Java development, I guess, truly made this session even more special. And we hope every participant here will leave with valuable knowledge to take forward in their journey. Also, we would like to thank all the participants for joining us today and interacting with us and keeping up with till the end of the session. If anyone has any question, I guess we more have 2 to 3 minutes. We can take one two questions, ma'am, if it's possible.
Yeah, I'm still here for 5 minutes. If you have anything, you can please.
Sure. Any participant have any doubt? Please raise your hands. I'll unmute them. Any doubt? Please raise your hand. I'll just unmute, give the permission to unmute.
Absolutely right, Victor. First of all, we filter, we transform, and then we map. Okay, I'm just getting the direct messages. People might not able to read them also. So if you want to become a Java developer, you first of all need to make your hands clear on the core Java concepts. Core Java is the console programming, and it is a foundation or a base of web application, server side architecture, consoling, mobile application. So it is important to keep your base very intact and clear. And then you can now JSP and servlets are almost replaced EJBs and swings and all. So you can directly learn the Spring framework, the latest version, where you can integrate the Spring Core, Spring AOP, Spring Beans, and Spring MVC, and then further Spring Boot. And then you can integrate your Spring Boot with Angular or React or Next, any, you know, uh, any client side to consume the APIs that you create in the Spring Boot. And when generally when I teach the Spring Boot, I also talk about the microservices there, which is very important in today's time. And always, guys, you have seen that I was not writing the complete code. The code was getting generated. I was using Copilot. Copilot is not just generating the code; it is more than beyond the expectation that we have from the AI in today's time. So it is very important to upgrade yourself to Gen AI or Chat, Copilot, or whatever integration tools are there. So there are the MD files, greenfield projects, brownfield projects that we generally teach when we talk about the GitHub Copilot. So it is very important to at least learn this fundamental tool before moving forward to any other AI or any other, um, let's say the Gen AI tool that makes your programming more easy. This is a long answer, Victor. How does AOP work? I think we need to meet again for this. Collect and for each are terminal operators or the collector methods, you can call them, Kashyap. Anything else which I could help you out, please do let me know.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I guess all the questions have been answered. Everyone has already asked in the chat box only, and we have replied to all. One last question we can take, ma'am, that is in the chat box, and then maybe we can leave. What are the new features in Java 26? Java.
Basically, the new features in Java 26 is something that, again, the fundamental features will be impacted from the Java 21 only. So, this is again non LTS release, still I'm telling you, because mainly focused on preview and the incubators features which are coming with Java 21. So if you are trying to understand how the modern approaches works, there are the scope values which are better than the thread local being enhanced in Java 21. It is about to enhance, not completely released, so I would not suggest you to use right now. Pattern matching enhancements are there, string templates are being added also, and there are the virtual threads comes up. Virtual threads are already being integrated with Java 21, but stabilization and improvements are there with the Java 26 version. There are the foreign functions and memory APIs for the refinement also being added, but still I say it is still in the beta version, not to be used. It is not safe to be used with the client projects. At least if you want to practice, then you can definitely go ahead. So structural concurrency is also there for better async code if you want to use. So Java is no longer just a backend language. It is evolving into, modern, expressive, high performance platform. So go beyond, keep extending. Okay.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much. All the participants will share you the resource and recording shortly. Have a great day. Thank you.